Good evening and welcome to Ignite News on 6 at 6. It's Wednesday, May 20th, 2026. I'm Rihanna Nakram. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. Attorney General Anand Lal says Ghana expects a final ICJ ruling on the Essequibo controversy by January 2027. President Ali says government is spending more than $100 billion annually to cushion rising fuel costs. Region 3 minibus operators protest government's decision not to approve fare increases despite rising fuel costs. And 4 fishermen survived hours in rough Atlantic waters after their vessel sank yesterday. Attorney General Anand Lal says Ghana expects the International Court of Justice to deliver a final ruling in the Essequibo border controversy by January 2027, with government remaining confident the judgment will affirm Ghana's sovereignty over the territory. Speaking during his weekly Issues in the News program Tuesday evening, Nanwal said Ghana's legal team has completed another major phase of the case and remains optimistic about the outcome.
We anticipate that the ruling will be handed down by or before January 2027. From all indications, our legal team is very confident that we will succeed. Our arguments were far superior in law, well supported by legal authorities, as well as documentary evidence and historical facts when compared to that of Venezuela.
Nanwal also commended the contributions of several Guyanese and international figures who helped advance Ghana's case over the years, including the late Ambassador Elizabeth Harper and Sir Sridat Ramphal.
You had decades of work being done in the Foreign Affairs Ministry and through the different diplomatic channels across the globe, done through the agency of the Foreign Affairs Ministry by dozens of officers. And I want to take this opportunity to recognize and salute the efforts of those officers.
The Attorney General said Ghana has continued defending its sovereignty despite Venezuela's refusal to recognize the court's jurisdiction, incursions into Ghana's exclusive economic zone, and attempts to administer the Essequibo through a Venezuelan referendum. He urged Venezuela to respect the eventual ruling of the ICJ, saying a peaceful resolution is important for regional stability in both the Caribbean and Latin America. International labor experts are warning that worker shortages in key sectors could slow Ghana's development unless the country improves workforce planning and expands access to skilled labor. The discussion, titled Bridging Guyana's Skills Gap, Diaspora and Migrant Labor, was held at the Ghana Marriott Hotel, Georgetown, and brought together stakeholders to examine how diaspora engagement and migrant labor can help address workforce shortages across critical sectors. Skills and lifelong learning specialist at the International Labor Organization, Ilka Webster, assessed the current state of migrant labor and highlighted the role it can play in filling gaps within Ghana's rapidly expanding economy.
Guyana's labor market challenges, they have been observed internationally, where rapid economic expansion, but also the post-pandemic recovery and structural transformation have created this persistent mismatch between the labor supply and the demand. And across these advanced and emerging economies, these labor shortages are also concentrated in many of the same sectors that are being impacted in Guyana.
According to Webster, sectors such as healthcare, construction, hospitality, transportation, and agriculture continue to face increasing labor shortages, with healthcare and construction among the hardest hit. She explained that outward migration and limitations in the local labor supply have contributed to shortages in both skilled and semi-skilled workers, despite increased job opportunities.
Because the labor supply cannot adjust quickly enough to surge in demand, particularly where the training pipelines are weak and the migration drains the skilled workers. If we look at the European Union and OECD countries, the tight labor markets, that situation where there is relatively low unemployment and scarcity of available workers to fill jobs openings, are increased linkage to structural rather than temporary factors, such as in Guyana.
Webster noted that Ghana's labor force participation rate covers persons between the ages of 15 and 65, but pointed out that participation among women remains low in traditionally male-dominated industries, such as construction. She warned that labor shortages could create serious development bottlenecks if left unresolved, and stressed the need for stronger workforce planning and improved labor market information systems to better align training with national development goals. President Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali says government is spending more than 100 billion Ghana dollars annually to shield consumers from rising global fuel prices by keeping excise taxes on imported fuel at zero. During a live national broadcast, the president said the measure has helped cushion the impact of rising energy and transportation costs linked to ongoing instability in the Middle East. Ali said the intervention has effectively placed billions of dollars back into the pockets of consumers, transport operators, and businesses.
You will recall that the government of Guyana removed the excise tax on imported products, refined products, to zero. That would have meant that over the years, all those who consume refined products, government would have taken up that cost, which amounts to about over $100 billion annually.
The president said the zero-rated excise tax translates into savings of roughly $500 per gallon of gasoline and diesel for households, farmers, and transportation operators. However, he noted that transportation fares were not reduced when fuel prices previously dropped, and urged operators not to pass the full burden of rising costs onto commuters.
When we took excise tax to 0%, that translated into approximately $500 saving for citizens on every gallon of diesel or gasoline purchase. For minibus operating in Georgetown and consuming an average of, let us say, more than 12 gallons of fuel per day, which is 50 liters, the policy delivers savings to about $6,000 per day.
President Ali also called on fuel importers and other stakeholders to temporarily reduce profit margins to ease pressure on consumers during the current period of global volatility.
So I call upon all the stakeholders, the importers of refined products, to adjust their profit lines in this period of volatility, because it's a period of volatility, and not to adjust fares to the extent that it erodes consumers' confidence and it adds pressure on the consuming public.
According to President Ali, the government is also pursuing long-term measures to reduce costs, including lowering freight expenses and exploring partnerships for a local oil refinery to strengthen Ghana's energy security. An additional 55,000 acres of land will soon become available to farmers in Region 5 as government pushes ahead with major agricultural expansion and drainage projects within the Mahaica-Maikoni-Abari Agricultural Development Authority scheme. This announcement was made by Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa during a recent meeting with farmers at Unverwacht Village, West Coast, Berbice. According to Mustafa, ongoing works on the Hope Light Canal project, stretching from Mahaica to Itaka, will open up thousands of acres of new farmland for agricultural development.
With the Hope Light Canal that we are doing now, from Mahaica to Itaka, a new 55,000 acres of land will become available to farmers in this scheme here. So what we are doing, we are trying as a government to bring more land, one, to develop these lands, because you will see a lot of farm-to-market roads we are looking to build.
Mustafa also addressed ongoing land ownership and rental disputes within the scheme, assuring farmers that the government is working to regularize land issues and resolve conflicts affecting cultivators. He urged persons currently renting lands or those without land allocations to begin the application process early so they can benefit when the new lands become available.
I'm informing you in advance that at the completion of the high-level canals, you will have 55,000 acres of land being made available to farmers. Start application. Start the process. Or else when the time comes and people apply for it and get it, you will be left behind.
The MMA ADA scheme already contains approximately 106,000 acres dedicated to rice cultivation, 40,000 acres for cash crop farming, and nearly 50,000 acres for livestock production, making it the largest agricultural scheme in the country. When returned, Region 3 bus operators protest the government's refusal to approve fare hikes. The Indian High Commission steps in as investigations continue into conditions facing foreign quarry workers. And Demerara Distills launches a special Diamond Jubilee rum celebration, celebrating Ghana's heritage. Stay with us.
Fuel it up and drive, super 95. Fuel it up and drive, super 95. Protect your fuel system, boy. High mileage and performance, boy.
Gov't Super 95 gasoline gives you more reasons to drive and is available at 56 service stations nationwide. For affordable price, high performance, and high mileage, choose Govt's Super 95 gasoline.
Fuel it up and drive.
Welcome back. We begin with protests in Region 3 after government rejected calls for increased transportation fares. Protests erupted at the Vreed-En-Hoop Route 32 bus park today after the Ministry of Public Works announced there will be no increase in minibus fares, despite rising fuel prices and growing operational costs. A representative for Zone 32 minibus operators said drivers can no longer afford to operate at current rates, noting that fares for the route have remained unchanged since 2018, while the cost of fuel, vehicle parts, and maintenance has steadily increased. Operators claimed that a previous understanding had been reached for fares to increase incrementally over time, but said those adjustments were never implemented, placing additional financial pressure on drivers.
Vreed-En-Hoop, just outside the Paris Calais, at the 32 minibus park, Vreed-En-Hoop to Parica. We are on a strike as a result of what the minister went up viral on here and say that there is no increase in minibus fare. What I'm saying is that minibus fare has been increased since 2018, and we were being promised that the fare would go up every year by $20.
The operators also proposed revised fare options, which they say would help offset rising expenses while remaining manageable for commuters.
From here to the Kentland 200, yes. From here to Tushin 300, Tushin to Berbice, Ruby 300, and Parica 400.
Minibus operators voiced their support for the proposed fare structure, with many agreeing that adjustments are necessary. However, some drivers are still calling for an additional $100 increase for the Vreed-En-Hoop to Parica route.
That they are requesting Vreed-En-Hoop to Parica $500. We will reach and negotiate what would be the correct fare.
The protest comes days after Minister of Public Works Bishop Juan Edgel reiterated government's position there will be no increase in public transportation fares, despite concerns raised by operators over fuel prices and operating costs.
Our meeting is out of a concern. Government has not, and I repeat, government has not approved, sanctioned, or in any way engaged in increases of fares for public transportation providers.
Minibus operators say they remain hopeful that further discussions with the Ministry of Public Works could lead to a compromise in the coming weeks. The High Commission of India in Georgetown says it is actively working to assist 38 Indian nationals employed at the Essequibo Quarry operation in returning home to India, as investigations continue into allegations of labor exploitation and poor working conditions. Speaking with Ignite News, Acting High Commissioner Manoj Kumar said the mission is coordinating with local authorities and the Ministry of Labor as concerns grow over reports that workers' passports may have been withheld.
We are working on this. They are our Indian workers, and we need to extend help. And we are working in association with Ministry of Labor. This much I can tell you right now.
The Ministry of Labor has since launched investigations into the allegations involving the quarry operation and the living conditions of the workers. Meanwhile, Attorney General Anand Lal says the appropriate authorities must first receive official reports before government agencies can intervene directly.
Government can't expect to know every single transaction or activity that is taking place across the length and breadth of this country unless it is reported to one of the official channels that have responsibility for receiving such report.
NANLA said government agencies cannot act on incidents that are not formally reported to the relevant authorities. To date, there has been no public response from the owners of Ekarim regarding the allegations. Demerara Distillers Limited has launched a special limited edition El Dorado rum to commemorate Ghana's 60th independence anniversary, with officials describing the release as a celebration of national heritage, craftsmanship, and resilience. The El Dorado 60th Anniversary Special Reserve Rum was officially unveiled Tuesday at Diamond, East Bank, Demerara. Prime Minister Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips said Ghana's internationally recognized rum industry remains closely tied to the future of the country's sugar industry, since molasses, the key ingredient in rum production, is derived from sugar.
Rum is more than 350 years old in the Caribbean. It is historically tied to the sugar industry, which produces molasses as a byproduct. And molasses, as you know, is the soul of rum. And this brings me to a serious point. Often, when people speak about closing the sugar industry, they do not recognize the grave implications this would have for our rum production. Rum is an important export earner for our country. You cannot have rum without molasses. You cannot have molasses without sugar. So when we talk about the future of sugar, we must also talk about the future of rum and the thousands of jobs, the foreign exchange, and the cultural identity that depend on it.
Master Distiller Sean Caleb said the commemorative rum symbolizes Ghana's 6 peoples through a blend of 6 historic marquis aged between 25 and 55 years. Only 6 cases totaling 720 bottles were produced for the Diamond Jubilee celebration.
The exclusive limited edition 60th anniversary rum that we are here to celebrate and launch today symbolizes our 6 peoples of Guyana with an exclusive blend of 6 marks of rum aged 25 to 55 years.
Meanwhile, DDL Chairman Kamal Samru said the launch also marks a milestone for Ghana's rum industry.
Today, as we are celebrating our 60th anniversary of independence, we are also celebrating the 50th anniversary of the local ownership of the rum industry in Guyana.
Prime Minister Phillips also praised DDL for helping transform Ghana's rum industry from bulk exports into a globally recognized premium brand. DDL says $100,000 from every bottle sold will support the DDL Foundation, which provides educational assistance and mentorship to children facing financial challenges. 4 West Coast Berbice fishermen are lucky to be alive after their boat sank in rough Atlantic waters Tuesday afternoon, leaving the crew stranded at sea for nearly 3 hours before they were rescued. One of the survivors, 56-year-old Kusiram Jagmahan of the Edward Village, said he and 3 other crew members had left the Ruzagnol fishing port last Friday aboard a 45-foot drift sign vessel and were preparing to return home after several days at sea when the incident occurred. He said the crew was hauling in their fishing seine when they noticed water rapidly entering the vessel.
I'm going to go water in the power. The whole power full of water. So I tell man, I say, "Buy his boat gorong." Right? The boat gorong could be torn back, and you watch now. The whole boat don't take off the water, full of the water. So the boat can't watch it start. Not take steer no more. So we had to tell the captain, the boat gorong now.
He said the men initially attempted to bail water from the boat, but the vessel quickly became unstable, forcing them to cut away the seine as the boat continued sinking.
We ready to cut off the seine, sir. The boat already don't get 3/4 water. Not take steer. The captain said, I host to see a life jacket, and so I put on a life jacket, and I stand by, give them jar, water jar, so I start tie a pile water jar, and so I start to rip out the back through the side, but the water doesn't, the water rough, so the water run just lash in the boat. So by the time I be done, put the boat to the backs and lift out and then take empty out the backs to the fish them and so. The boat done already gone now, and the back just slip out. When the back slip out now, I'll just jump a hole on for the jar and hold on for the back, so the back start roll and the fish them start come out by the water. So I would say, sorry, back to roll, so I would try roll for the back, for hold for the backs. So I would take the jar and tie them for the backs, and 2 of the hold on for the jar, and 2 of them by hold on for the back jar, I can't hold on for the back just spin out the water rough. Right, and hold the water roll go. So I When the fish fall off, the boat start, the back start drift, and I'll be drift for them.
Before the vessel became fully submerged, the captain managed to contact the Ghana Defense Force Coast Guard for assistance. Jagmahan said the 4 fishermen spent approximately 3 hours in the water before they were rescued in a coordinated operation involving the Coast Guard, volunteers, and chairman of the Rosignol Fishermen's Co-op Society Limited, Hardat Malchan.
Bill yung kal, and yung kalo, yan sa tesa yung try hos ko fabric buta gorong. I think on full ID card, and I'll close I think.
The elderly fisherman, who has spent decades working at sea, said it was the first time he had ever experienced such an ordeal. When Ignite News returns, Youth Basketball Ghana expands its grassroots coaching program nationwide. Arsenal end a 22-year wait for the Premier League title. And Bangladesh completes a historic test series sweep over Pakistan. Stay with us.
Your business is built on hard work, vision, and the drive to succeed. At GBTI, we understand what it takes to grow. That's why we offer Grow, a small business service designed to help your business expand, adapt, and reach its full potential. From new opportunities to new milestones, we're here to support you every step of the way. Grow from GBTI. Progress starts here.
You watch Ignite News on 6 at 6. Thanks for staying with us. We begin sports tonight with efforts to strengthen youth basketball development across Ghana. Teachers and coaches from across Ghana gathered at the Cliff Anderson Sports Hall for a one-day basketball workshop aimed in improving school-level player development and coaching standards. Youth Basketball Ghana hosted the workshop with support from the Ministries of Education and Culture, Youth and Sport, along with sponsor G-Boats Incorporated. According to YBG Chairman Chris Bowman, participants received practical training in athlete preparation, team warm-ups, basketball philosophy, and program building from local and international coaches.
The idea, we might have a vision, but we could not do it alone. This training today is ours is sponsored by G-Boat in partnership with Youth Basketball Guyana, and then our institutional partners, the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport, which also help us with the sort of infrastructure and the
Bowman said teachers and coaches remain critical to the long-term growth of basketball in Ghana, especially as participants expand beyond Georgetown into regions 2, 5, and 6.
The most important partners are you, the teachers, coaches, who are with the kids, who are at the grassroots, who knows the struggle, who are willing, who are committed. You are the most important partners. And this year, I want to highlight a significant development. In fact, we have more teachers in this room who have traveled all the way from other regions than those who are right in Georgetown.
He said the organization is investing more resources into regional training and school programs as interest in basketball continues to grow.
We are committed to developing those areas because you are you're willing to really go the extra mile. So we know that, we know you're present. And today we hope after all the training and everything else that it would make a tremendous difference as you go back to your region and to your respective schools.
Youth Basketball Ghana says additional workshops and development programs are planned as part of a wider effort to strengthen grassroots basketball across the country. Arsenal have won the English Premier League title for the first time in 22 years after rivals Manchester City were held to a 1-1 draw away to Bournemouth. The championship ends Arsenal's long wait for a league crown and marks a major achievement for manager Mikel Arteta, who guided the club through several difficult rebuilding seasons, following 3 consecutive runner-up finishes. Arsenal spent most of the campaign at the top of the table and responded strongly after suffering a crucial late-season defeat to Manchester City that briefly threatened to derail their title hopes. The triumph also ends a 6-year wait for major silverware for the North London club and delivers Arsenal's first league title since the famous Invincible squad of the 2003 to 2004 season. More success could still be ahead for the Gunners, who are now preparing to face Paris Saint-Germain in UEFA Champions League final in Budapest on May 30th. Bangladesh completed a historic 2-0 Test series sweep over Pakistan after securing a 78-run victory in Sylhet. Chasing a challenging target of 437 runs, Pakistan were bowled out on the final day, despite determined resistance from several middle-order partnerships. Spinner Tajmul Islam led Bangladesh's attack with a brilliant 6-wicket haul in the 4th innings, while wicketkeeper batsman Liton Das played a crucial role earlier in the match, with a first-innings century of 126. Pakistan showed signs of a comeback through important partnerships involving Shan Masood, Babar Azam, Mohammad Rizwan, and Salman Agha. But Bangladesh's spin attack steadily broke through to seal victory. The result marks Bangladesh's 4th consecutive Test victory and is being viewed as another major milestone in the team's growing development and consistency in the longer format of the game. The series sweep also highlights Bangladesh's increasing strength at home as the team continues building confidence against higher-ranked opposition. Still ahead, former Cuban leader Raul Castro faces indictment in the United States. Britain eases some fuel sanctions amid global oil concerns. And the World Health Organization warns the Ebola outbreak in Central Africa may be spreading faster than first believed. Stay with us.
Let Prems Electrical help you turn that dream home or project into a reality. We have the ability to be the one supplier for all your residential and commercial electrical requirements. Our great prices ensures ongoing customer satisfaction, from brightening up your space to setting the mood. You're sure to find what you need in our amazing lighting range. Prems Electrical, Guyana's electrical giants. 177 Alexander Street, Laceytown. Telephone 227-7765.
Welcome back. Former Cuban President Raul Castro has been indicted in U.S. over a decades-old aircraft incident. The case stems from the 1996 shooting down of 2 civilian aircraft operated by Cuban exiles, an incident that killed 4 people. U.S. officials say the case is linked to Castro's role as Cuba's defense minister at the time of the incident and forms part of broader efforts by the Trump administration to increase pressure on Havana. The indictment is being viewed as a major escalation in already tense relations between the United States and Cuba, as Washington also pushes new measures aimed at political change on the island. The announcement comes alongside proposals for a $100 million aid package and renewed criticism of Cuba's leadership by American officials. Cuban authorities have not yet issued a direct response to the indictment, but officials in Havana had previously condemned similar actions by Washington as interference and aggression. The development is expected to further deepen long-standing tensions between the two countries over sanctions sovereignty and Cold War-era disputes. In international news, Britain is easing some sanctions on Russian-linked fuel imports as global oil markets react to tensions in the Middle East. The British government says diesel and jet fuel refined in third countries like India and Turkey can now enter the UK, even if the crude originally came from Russia. Officials say the move is aimed at protecting fuel supplies and limiting price spikes for airlines, businesses, and households. Junior Treasury Minister Don Tomlinson defended the decision, saying Britain still supports Ukraine, while also protecting its own energy security. The announcement comes as oil prices remain volatile amid concerns over the Iran conflict and shipping disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz. Today, Brent crude briefly traded nearly $110 a barrel, before falling more than 4% to $106.52 a barrel, after U.S. President Donald Trump said the negotiations with Iran were in the final stages. Meanwhile, several supertankers carrying millions of barrels of crude oil resumed passage through the Strait of Hormuz on the routes directed by Iran, offering some relief to global supplies concerns. Finally, this evening, the World Health Organization has released nearly $4 million in emergency funding as health officials warn Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Uganda may already be widespread. Officials believe the virus may have been spreading undetected for months before confirmation earlier this month.
WHO assesses the risk of the epidemic as the high at the national and regional levels and low at the global level. So far, 51 cases have been confirmed in the DRC, in the northern provinces of Ituri and North Kivu, including in the cities of Bunia and Goma. Although we know the scale of the epidemic in DRC is much larger.
WHO says delayed detection was caused by ongoing conflict in eastern Congo, population displacement, and major logistical challenges affecting healthcare services and testing. Officials also confirmed that the outbreak involves rare Bundibugyo strain of Ebola, for which there are currently no approved vaccines or treatments. Uganda has since postponed its annual Martyrs' Day celebrations, an event that normally attracts millions of people, as authorities attempt to limit the risk of wider transmission. Meanwhile, WHO defended its response after criticism over the pace of detection and reporting during the early stages of the outbreak.
We don't replace the country's work. We only support them. So that's why there could be some lack of understanding. But then, of course, there is a delay in detection, and there are many factors here. Number one is security. And more than 100,000 people newly displaced, hundreds of thousands displaced in Ituri and live in camps. And displacement means not only displacement of the population, but of course, including the health workers. And health facilities cannot work optimally when there is conflict and when the health workers are also fleeing.
WHO also stressed that Ebola is not airborne and says current efforts remain focused on contact tracing, isolation, and community-based treatment measures. And that's all for this edition of Ignite News on 6 at 6. For more stories, visit ignitenews.com or follow us on social media. Thanks for watching. I'm Rihanna Nakram. See you tomorrow for more Ignite News.